of racial injustice in our community. We are walking out to give a voice to the voiceless. We are walking out to show you our pain. We desire our voices to be heard and positive changes to be enacted. Most of all, we desire to stand as equal, integral parts of this community. If any of you were touched by these sentiments, please head to the second floor couches for a sit-in and walkout beside us.
Wellesley! Wake up, Wellesley! Wake up, Wellesley! Wake up, Wellesley! Wake up, Wellesley!
Hello, my name is Alex Stoddard. For those who don't know, we are Young Ethnic Scholars, also known as YES, and we have walked out today to protest the constantly recurring racist actions that we as students of color have so often been forced to accept as a part of our school and community. Since I began attending Wellesley Public Schools in 3rd grade, I've heard countless insensitive and derogatory comments. One of my earliest memories of racism in Wellesley was in 4th grade, when a student said the N-word while studying the geography of Africa. These repeated reminders of how some members of our community feel about us contribute to a racial climate at our school that does not foster the feelings of an inclusive and welcoming school environment. Whether these instances were seemingly small microaggressions, blatantly racist examples of hatred, or anywhere in between, they all affect us and our ability to learn.
Hello, my name is Aliyah Saliban and I identify as a Muslim woman of color. As a senior in Wellesley High School, I have witnessed the racial turmoil of our community. As a response to all of these instances of racism, a group of students of color and allies came together to discuss ways we could protest, influence, change, and make our voices heard for the school and town of Wellesley as a whole. People of color in this country, in this culture, tend to not matter as much as those who are white. That's the truth of America. We know that as students of color, when we come together, we hold enormous power and the ability to create change and leave an impact of students who will come after us and face many of these same struggles. We are young, gifted, and black.
Hi everyone, I am Yasmin Jaffier, a Wellesley High School junior. In the school, we have had multiple racial incidents, including the racist email that was sent to a black teacher. We as students of color have been disgusted by this event, but this is not the only incident that has happened in the high school. The students of color here can let you know that they face racial discrimination on a daily basis. We as students of color do not have the privilege to turn off our color and be in a state of bliss. This walkout is to inform you all of our pain and to create a plan to combat the ingrained biases that are within the school system and community of Wellesley. Unfortunately, Wellesley is a microcosm of America and the world. Donald Glover said it best, that this is America. But we as Wellesley High School members have a responsibility to be self-reflective and act in favor of equality. We will now outline the demands we have agreed the school needs to meet in order to create a more welcoming environment for students and teachers of color, as well as listen to a number of students speak about their experiences with race and racism at Wellesley High School. These demands need to be discussed with their superintendent, the principal of Wellesley High School, and the school committee before April break. These are our demands.
We demand students of color be included in the hiring process of the high school's new diversity position.
We demand the maker room to be deregulated to give students of color a safe space during lunch.
We demand that we should have more teachers of color hired to represent a diverse environment. We need to see an action plan for this.
We demand mandatory professional development with students of color, once per term, facilitated by an expert to discuss school structures that perpetuate ingrained biases. In lower level classes at the high school, there are a disproportionate amount of students of color, even though they are the minority in the school. Guidance counselors should encourage students of color to take higher classes.
We demand continued mandatory professional development for staff around race, privilege, and the culture of bias. Acknowledgement that we are swimming in the sea of racism.
We demand that an equity coach is hired for the building, whose job it is to provide continuous support and training for teachers and staff in areas of equal treatment for all students. Part of it should be a rehabilitation period where the ones that committed the racial incidents should also join clubs that deal with race to understand the impact that they have on people.
Finally, we demand more transparency on how the schools deal with racist incidents and the aftermath, so that it sends a positive message of action to the community at large.
Howell will now speak.
All right, so you guys know my name's Howell. All right. I know by now that you all understand why we are protesting and what we want out of this protest. My speech is quite different. I just want to acknowledge the fact that we as a minority, we as students of color, have stepped out in solidarity to fight against the silence of all racial issues that go in on our school on a daily basis. For so long, my peers and I didn't want to speak out because we thought nothing would happen or we didn't want to be looked at differently by our white peers. Although that might be somewhat true, looking back at my young self, I wish I had said something or did something because the problem is not the silence from them, but the silence from us. Not saying anything allows administration and other people of power in the Wellesley High School to roll over these kinds of issues like they never happened, and for so long, that's what's been happening. But that was the past. We cannot dwell on the past, but rather take from it in order to change the future. I would also like to send a message to Wellesley High School. Even though we are the minority, our voices will be heard whether administration wants to hear it or not. The more you try to dismiss these issues, the more we will bring them up and make sure they are dealt with. I would like to end off my speech by saying, let this not be the beginning to an end, but the beginning of a journey to fight against racial issues in and out of our community.
The mic's not working, so I'm just gonna yell.
Hold it lower.
Never mind, we gotta back up. Sorry, technical difficulty. Okay. Here. Hello. Okay. Wellesley. Depending on who you are, that might mean different things to you. The school with the Facebook incident, the school with the racist kids, or just your average predominantly white school. The reality is that Wellesley is all of those things, yet none of them simultaneously. Within the walls of Wellesley High, there are knowingly racist students. There are students who were raised to think a certain way. There are students who think it's just a word, it doesn't matter. There are students who wholeheartedly believe that racism isn't a problem at Wellesley. That's a problem. It's a problem that after 52 years of MECO students attending Wellesley High, we all congregate in one room or feel confined to one space just so we can feel safe. Feel safe from what, you ask? It's not only the fact that we're a minority in the school. I go in Hightower's room to feel safe from the stares of my peers that I've dealt with since elementary. To tell our friends how the lunch lady followed us while we got our food to make sure we weren't stealing. I go to Hightower so the white girls and teachers' fingers don't end up on my head. It's a problem that after 11 years of being in Wellesley High, I still hear "what up, my nigga" from the white boys in the hall. It's a problem that when someone is mad at a teacher, they can write an email attacking her for something as beautiful as her skin color. It's a problem that people in the school think seeing no color solves the issue. Physically, that makes no sense, but socially, I want you to think about that. What would society be like if we all saw each other the same? We need to see each other's differences in skin color, hair type, eye shape, etc. We need to see the difference in each other's culture. I'm demanding you to recognize my blackness and respect me. You need to understand that we are different, but we can coexist to learn and graduate together. Being in METCO, I've been forced to learn code switching, and I've been ostracized since elementary school. I've been forced to learn that I can't get mad like the other kids because when I do, I'll just be the angry black girl. I can't get loud when I'm excited or else I'm ghetto. It's expected that I'm in all CP classes and barely pass them. It's been 11 years and I still walk on eggshells, constantly trying to prove people wrong and not fall into this stereotype or that stereotype. Every single one of us deserves to be here and feel like we're in a safe learning environment, where we are supported by the faculty. Wellesley needs to wake up, and it's been too long of us asking. We're going to do it ourselves.
Hi everyone, my name is Sadhna. I'm a junior at the high school. I'm walking out today because of the racial incidents that have occurred in our school and the inaction by our student body to recognize the issue and make substantial change. This walkout is being led by the students for the students because we are the ones being affected by the issues the most. It affects our learning environment at school, knowing that a fellow student sitting right next to me could be harboring racist and prejudiced ideas.
Lower the microphone.
It is disturbing that a fellow student could take action against my peers or my teachers and has been shown in the recent incidents. I've had a student in our school tell me, how frequent are these racist incidents in our school? Are they really worth a walkout? I think it's important for us all to realize it's not about the number of racist incidents that occur in our school, but the impact those few racist incidents have on our students of color and the student body as a whole. It's not only about those big incidents, but the microaggressions that we students of color hear every day on a day-to-day basis. And addressing to the point of whether it's worth a walkout, yes, it's worth a walkout. We walked out. Thanks! We walked out for our support of the Parkland students for gun violence last year, and that's because gun violence affects all students at school. We have to realize that these racist incidents in our school do affect all of us. If you think about it, when there's a racist incident in our school, like the recent email that was sent to a teacher of color, our English teachers took out the time of our curriculum to have a discussion on race, and specifically race in Wellesley. It's perceived to be a well-tolerant society as a whole, which it is, but incidents can still occur, and it's incumbent on us to raise awareness that the world around us is a melting pot of ethnicities, races, and abilities, and we need to get better at exposing it. In 2016, when I was just a freshman entering the high school for the first time, on the first day of school, I was aware of the racial incident that occurred over the summer. It was the first time I was exposed to the reality of racism in my new high school by our fellow students, for the fact. And the formation of One Wellesley, the student-run club, I went to, with the formation of One Wellesley and a bunch of my friends, I went to the middle school to share my perspective on the incident with concerned 8th graders concerned about entering the high school next year and wondering about what racist incidents occurred. I believe it was a good awareness builder for young kids, and we should do more of it. We reassured the 8th graders that they would receive the support from students and faculty at the high school and ensure that these incidents are not patterns, and it will change by the time they get to the high school. We need to put that change into effect now so another generation of students at Wellesley don't experience the same things that we have. Thank you.
Hello.
Just hold the microphone low.
Hello.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, so in case you guys don't know me, I think most of you do. My name is Manny Bernardo, Emmanuel Reynoso Bernardo. I'm a senior at the high school, and I've just really had enough. I've got a speech for everybody today. It's really on culture, but I hope you guys like it. So, one of life's greatest necessities, which also tends to be one of life's greatest difficulties to obtain, is self-awareness. With that being said, what happens when the comfort of knowing who you are is challenged by the disparity between your own culture and the culture of the society surrounding you and those within? This was once my dilemma. Being the first in my Latino family to be born in the United States, raised in a single-parent, low-income household in an apartment within an affluent suburban town in Massachusetts, brimming with large houses possessing extensive acreage, the conflict had bared its teeth since the beginning. In spite of this, I had always felt pride in my heritage and in my culture growing up, as it brought me immense joy to experience at home. I still debate whether to this day whether you would ever find a child as content as I was in eating rice, beans, and meat on a nightly basis for almost a consecutive 17 years of his life. It's almost unheard of, at least in the United States. My time at home was immersed in Christian contemporary music and Latin telenovelas, characterized by cleaning on Saturday mornings and facilitated by the Portuguese and Spanish languages. The nature of my household was as much a nature of independence as one of collaboration, as we lived under the same culture. We related. In my daily hiatuses from home to attend school, however, I found myself missing the mark in comparison. I wasn't American enough. I didn't come from a white picket fence. I wasn't born into a nuclear family. My language was foreign, my features possessed more melanin, I detested the cold, my diet was ethnic, my religious practices were exaggerated. Overall, my experiences didn't reflect that of a suburbanite in New England. As a result, I misplaced much time in being angry with others, angry with my circumstances, and most of all, angry with myself for being different. I attempted to conform and suppress the culture that was once a source of my pride. In elementary, it was pulling out an English dictionary and practicing my diction, elongating my vowels, slowing down my consonants. and memorizing new vocabulary. Going to middle school, it was buying overpriced Under Armour sweatshirts because of their practicality, and pretending not to put importance into anything, as the classic rookie adolescent would, because it was considered cool. It took me 13 years since birth to realize that my different culture and the unique experiences I possess may be what set me apart as an individual. However, individuality has value in versatility. When speaking of our interests today, to continually have our identities ignored and neglected in a system that promotes a singular way of life is to deny us the pride we hold within ourselves. And for that, we stand united.
Yeah, Mary!
Hi everyone, I'm Naseem Shaky and I'm a junior here at Wellesley High. I commend you all for coming out here to support your fellow students of color and your allies. The roots of racism run deep in our land, fibers intertwining through miles of soil, threatening the surface on which we stand, a cracking and aching and breaking turmoil. And it is right here that you roll in the grass, a clear blue day over clean white teeth, until emails and group chats and jokes made in class remind you of the roots that snarl underneath. The rain seems to drip and make these roots stronger, and you're only one person, what can you do? Always remember, hope and love live longer. Learn, listen, let students of color shine through. And so, dear allies, grab a shovel, start digging. These roots cut deep, and it's just the beginning. Thank you.
My name is Lariana, and my speech is more personal, my own personal experiences. So, when I first moved to Wellesley, I would have never thought I would take part in such a meaningful movement. I am happy to be here and tell you my personal experiences, not only in Wellesley, but as a person of color in the society. I went to a school that was mainly Hispanic and Brazilian. Race was a topic that rarely passed through my head, yet when I'm here, it is a lingering thought. Here, I notice when I am the only person of color in my class, and it can feel very isolating. I feel like it's not just being the only person of color in my class, but the interactions with my peers that are constant reminders that the improvements can be made in the way we treat each other in this community. Once I was on Google and saw that it was the Day of the Dead because of the graphics Google had that day. And outwardly I said, wow, I didn't know it was the Day of the Dead. And a white student next to me said, how did you not know that? Aren't you Mexican? I remember being so shocked because I am not Mexican and I didn't know why he assumed that I was. And that feeling was reminiscent and other disheartening moments I had experienced in my life. Growing up, I remember the dread I would feel when substitute teachers would take attendance. I would hope and pray that they would be the one that could say my name with ease like the rest of the kids, rather than bringing attention to the fact that my name was different from others. I grew to dislike my name for that reason and adapted it to a more American accent because people couldn't say my name correctly. To this day, it is a habit where I introduce myself as Lariana rather than giving it the beautiful pronunciation it was meant to have. My name isn't Lariana, it's Lariana. I am very proud of my ethnicity, and I am happy when people ask me about it. That is all anyone has to do, is ask, what is your ethnicity? The amount of times someone has asked me, what are you, is disappointing to the point that my automatic response is, I am human. Most of the time, people don't notice when they're being discriminatory or offensive. There are people that think it's a compliment to say, you are pretty for a black girl. What does that mean? Why does my race depict whether I am pretty or not in this society? And why is it that being black is seen as anything other than beautiful? The color of my skin should not determine what is beautiful or not, but our kindness and our open-mindedness. It It is disappointing that for a school of its caliber, Wellesley decides to take teachable moments and sweep them under the rug. It is a disservice to the future of our society. There needs to be clear consequences for imposing hate in this community. Talking about race has become a topic people feel uncomfortable to have, but it needs to be discussed. Otherwise, we will never make change for the better. Overall, my takeaway from this movement isn't to make people feel guilty or to victimize people of color, but to allow people to stop, think, and be aware. I am so proud to be a part of Young Ethnic Scholars, and I am proud to be in this generation where we speak up and fight back against all the hate in this world, especially now. Hate is everywhere and against everybody. We are stereotyped because no one knows the truth about the types of people they choose to isolate because they are divided by this hatred for one thing or the other, simply because it is different. Yet, we look past that. We found each other and we united together to fight this common enemy. We aren't just black, white, Asian, or Middle Eastern. We are young ethnic scholars and allies that come from different backgrounds and experiences. And only by embracing everyone can we fight the society that teaches us to hate another. And then I have a quote from Nelson Mandela. He says, "No one is born hating another person because of the color of his skin, or his background, or his religion. People must learn to hate, and if they learn to hate, they can be taught to love. For love comes naturally to the human heart than its opposite."
Hi everyone, I'm Allie. I'm a junior at Wellesley High School, and although I don't have a personal story to share today, I'd like you guys to think about this. Really think about this. We already know so much about racism. We aren't racist, said many of my fellow classmates every time an incident occurred. These annual incidents result from Wellesley's inability to discuss race. What baffles me is why we, as a group of bright individuals, are unable to discuss race. Because every time I sit down in class to have another race talk, all I hear is racism is bad and that we shouldn't be racist. The issue isn't that people can't talk about race. It's that they're scared to. They are scared that they will say something politically incorrect or offend someone by mistake. But these are crucial conversations we need to have. I don't expect everyone to care enough to go out of their way to learn about race. But I do expect everyone to care. I expect everyone to care enough to listen. But I want people to educate themselves about race, their own and all the others. And you can. There are resources on the Wellesley High School main page. Check them out and let's talk about it. Because acknowledging, learning about, and trying to understand how hurtful these racist comments are is crucial to help us move forward as a community. We often think of racists as people who consciously discriminate based on the color of someone's skin. But racism mostly occurs unconsciously, stemming from ignorance. Yet having the same effect as those who intentionally harm others. Racism can come in the form of angrily yelling, "Go back to your home country." But some of you may not realize that curiously asking, "But where are you really from?" is a form of unintentional racism, a microaggression. The effect is that some groups, typically white people in our society, have certain advantages over others, which ultimately hurts everyone. But this advantage, this white privilege, is not something you always see, especially when living in a white majority town. White privilege is the ability to walk in the streets without thinking for even 1 second that a police officer may shoot you dead. White privilege is the ability to get a job interview and be taken for who you are without people thinking once about the color of your skin. White privilege is the ability to attend college and not have people assume you're accepted only for the color of your skin. None of us chose our lives, let alone our race. So why do we discriminate against others based on something as irrelevant as the color of their skin? It is not our responsibility as people of color to educate others about racism. It is everyone's job as humans to care about others, despite our differences. So please, I urge you, be human, learn, care.
Hi guys. So one of our white allies, Ethan Lisroy, wants to have a speech, and can you please come up?
Hi everyone, my name is Ethan Lisroy, and I'm a senior at the high school. A few months ago, I stumbled across a segment by The Daily Show with Trevor Noah, which addresses Boston's reputation as a racist city. In the segment, a correspondent interviewed pedestrians outside of Fenway Park. During one conversation, the correspondent asks an elderly Caucasian man if he thinks Boston is racist. The man responds, "No, I don't think Boston is a racist city at all." The correspondent asks, "So how do you know?" After a long pause, the man hesitantly notes, "I don't feel it. I've never encountered it." As a white male, I simply haven't had the same experience as students of color in Wellesley, so I won't attempt to speak for my classmates. I can only speak in support of their messages. As Noah put it, if you want to know if Jurassic Park is safe, you don't ask the dinosaurs. So as an individual who is not personally experiencing racism in Wellesley, what can I do? At the end of the day, regardless of where we live or where we sit during lunch, we are all members of the Wellesley community, a place where one should feel comfortable to be themselves, where respect and equality are core values. No matter our identity, we all have a duty to ensure that its resources and inclusiveness are equally accessible for everyone. As allies, we must ask ourselves the questions and partake in the conversations necessary to educate and challenge our perspectives, even when the problem at hand may not be immediately visible to everyone. We must be receptive and responsive to constructive criticism. If someone tells you your behavior or words were racist, don't take this as a moral judgment, but rather as a learning moment and an opportunity to improve. Students today who demand their voices be heard are generously presenting some ways to commit to the betterment of our community. So listen, act. Let's be aware moving forward, ask questions, check in on each other, and advocate. Being an ally means standing up for your peers, even in times when it may feel uncomfortable, even when there's no one there to pat your back. I challenge the student body of Wellesley High School to stand as proud allies of our fellow peers of color. I challenge my friends and classmates to stand in vocal support of racial equality. Not just today, but every day. The core purpose of a community is to include and serve each member equally. Today, the Wellesley High School community has a chance to make a concrete effort towards becoming a better version of itself. But this requires an active response from the administration, and it requires an active response from each and every one of us. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Simone Lumley, and I'm a sophomore at Wellesley High. I live in Boston and have been coming to Wellesley Public Schools since kindergarten. Being a black student and coming to a town and school that is predominantly white is somewhat challenging. Sometimes I feel like I'm a part of this community. However, sometimes I don't feel accepted at all. Since a young age, I've realized how different I was from the rest of my classmates and how I stood out. Kindergarten. Being asked over and over again if another black girl in my class was my sister. Second grade. Getting my hair braided and having my classmates rest their fingers on my head while commenting about how cool they looked. Third grade. From wearing my white beads on the end of my braids just to be told to sit still because they were too distracting. Sixth grade. being called ratchet, and the assumptions that my hair was weave. 7th grade, being told to go back to Africa. From the white kids yelling wave check or dapping each other up saying what's up cuz, openly mocking and taking our culture at the same time, even taking it to the extent of singing the N-word and then questioning you on why you feel uncomfortable. It's just a word, they say. I'm not saying it in an offensive way, they argue. I can go on and on about my experiences that I've encountered throughout my years going to Wellesley. But I don't want it to seem like I'm complaining, like I've been told before. Schools are supposed to feel welcoming, a place where you can learn and be educated. But how would it feel if you didn't feel welcome in your own school? How would it feel if the jokes and microaggressions that you hear daily affected your learning ability? Speaking from experience, it does not feel good at all. Every day I come to school and it's always the same. The constant feeling of needing to restrain myself. I shouldn't feel that way. The countless times where I've completely shut down in class because of things that have been said to me. If you know me personally, you know that I'm usually a strong and fearless girl. However, with the recent events that have taken place at Wellesley High, an email that targeted a teacher at our school, a teacher who's kind and caring, black and beautiful. However, the email begged to differ. Even though it was not directed towards me, it still affected me greatly. The amount of emotions that I've held onto from day one at Wellesley finally got exposed the week after the incident had taken place. As I spoke to a classroom full of students, you could hear the hurt in my voice. I broke down in tears. I began to express exactly how I felt about the incident and other incidents prior, choking on every word that came out of my mouth. It's hard to fake a smile every day pretending that everything's fine, when in reality it's the complete opposite. It's so hard to continue to say that you're okay after being so tired of all the hurt. I'm so tired and broken down by things that shouldn't be happening. Things that are constant and unnecessary. Those things being what's so hard and uncomfortable for you guys to talk about. Racially provoked incidents, discussions, and jokes. I'm tired of the hurt, you're tired of the talks. And it shouldn't be that way. Ever since the early age of 5, coming to Wellesley, I have not felt comfortable. I am 15 years old now, a decade later, and I still feel like I can't be myself without being called loud or looked at or judged just because of my skin color. A part of my body that I cannot change. If I had the chance to change the skin that I was born in, I wouldn't. Why? Because I love my dark skin. I'm black and I'm proud. I'll do anything and everything to make sure that's known. My ideas and thoughts are just as important as anyone else's. I'm not afraid to use my voice, something that's powerful and impactful. I'm not an angry black woman. I'm someone who has something important to say. My voice matters and I will not be silenced.
All right, so you guys already heard me talk before, but at this moment, I would like you guys to look at all the posters and kind of just read them. A lot of them are either quotes or statements. Oh, read them out. One statement was, "Black students matter. Why are you guys so loud? You people always make it about race. OMG, you're an ACP? Do you live on Barton? You're in an honors class? Is that the music that you guys listen to? What do you do? What do you know? You're black. Young, gifted, and black. Our silence reflects your own. Immigrants are the worst thing that happened to America. Is it just a word? My black friends let me. Black students matter. Little Africa, or Cafrica? You people always make it about race. You guys make it worse decisions. Black students matter. Is your hair yours? Our silence reflects your own. Is your hair real? Where are you really from? Black is beautiful. Why are you complaining? You're privileged going to WHS. You people, black, gifted, young, gifted, and black. Black students matter. Go back to Africa." So those are just some of the posters. And I would also just like to make a statement. So in the beginning of the year, this student this teacher, we were talking about something that was so unjust. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe that's so wrong. And he basically went up to me and said, what are you gonna do about it? And so ever since that day, I've always kind of held that to me, and I thought, well, what can I do? And thanks to that teacher, I wouldn't be standing here today. I feel like if it wasn't for me and my senior peers, this would have never happened. And if it wasn't for that teacher, I wouldn't be the person I am today. And I just kind of want to admire that teacher. I'm not going to say their name, but I just want them to know that they mean so much to me and that they are the reason why I'm the senior I am today.
Hi everyone. I just wanted to take a moment. In 1978, Maya Angelou wrote in her famous poem, Still I Rise, that she was the dream and hope of the slave. I personally live by these words every day because of the amazing opportunities that I have been given and using these opportunities to the fullest. Obviously, back then, many slaves did not know how to read and write, and they all certainly did not get the adequate education that they deserved. I was graciously given the opportunity to get an equal education, but that is not the experience of all black people. Overall, America in particular has a problem with the education people of color receive in relation to their white counterparts. Many other people of color in Wellesley were given the same opportunity of education through different methods. Even though we are all grateful for the opportunity to get a great education through the Wellesley High School system, we as a community have a huge problem regarding race. And I just wanted to open the floor for anyone who wanted to speak on that. Sorry to put you on the spot, but I think it's also important to hear from the crowd. So if you want to come up, please come up.
Let's go, Effa!
Hi everyone. My name's Effa Fuda. I wasn't planning on speaking today, and I was actually hesitant to come out here. But it's amazing to know that so many people here are here to support. And I want to say thank you. Because going to school every day, it's hard enough, but having to deal with constant stares, comments, snarky remarks, it makes it 10 times harder. A school is a place to learn. A school is a place to have your feelings heard, your emotions. You're supposed to be able to let out your emotions. You're supposed to be able to have people respect who you are. And I think it is the most important thing that we understand that everyone is different. If we don't understand that people are different, we are refusing to learn. We are refusing to become better people. We have to understand that people are different. Everyone comes from a different background. Whether you're black, white, Asian, Hispanic, no matter what it may be, everyone is different. If we continue to stigmatize race, if we continue to make people less than who they are, we will not advance. We will not become better than who we are today. It is necessary that everyone understands that when you see something that is wrong, you have to stand up for it. You have to make a difference.
Okay, so also I was not planning on saying anything because I'm very shy, but I just wanted to say that before I came out here, a friend of mine stopped me in the hallway and asked me, like, why am I doing this? You're like the whitest black girl I know. And honestly, I looked at him and I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I get that I have my way of life. I'm a little bit different from my fellow peers. I act a certain way, but that's because of the fact that I used to feel embarrassed about my ethnicity, and I used to cover it to be like the rest of my peers. And honestly, I'm ashamed to say that I did that because it's terrible, and I'm not proud of myself for that. But I'm just saying now that I feel beautiful in my skin, and I love who I am, and I wouldn't change that. Ashamed of who you are, you shouldn't be. You shouldn't hide who you are because you're beautiful.
So my name's Sierra Sinclair. I'm a junior at Wellesley High, and I'm going to talk about one of my experiences. Last year, I was in an honors science class, minding my business, doing my work, and this is about the time where people get accepted into college. Everyone was talking about who got in, who didn't. That's irrelevant. This female says, I wish I was black or Hispanic, because it would be easier to get into college. And I sat there and I was like, okay, I'm not gonna respond to that, I'm gonna mind my business. Right after that, a male Caucasian student says, that's not true. It's statistically proven that white people get into college over black people, and white people are smarter. At that moment, I got out my seat, I left the room, and I walked around the school. I was out of my classroom for about 10 minutes, wondering what I was going to do. And then I thought back on something I heard from a TV show, which is kind of sad, but a grownish character, Luca Hall, said it best: be comfortable being uncomfortable. So in that moment, I got back to my classroom, I sat back in my seat, I did my work, and honestly, I want everyone here to take that into consideration when we're talking about race. It isn't just because we want to talk about race and we want to have attention. It's because I have to leave my classroom, disrupt my learning, because someone says something that disrespectful to me. Because of that, and honestly, I'm tired of it. I shouldn't have to leave this class. And if we're talking about race, I need people to think, be comfortable being uncomfortable. Say something even though you might feel as if it is bad.
Good afternoon, Wellesley. My name is Paula Jackson Davis. I attended Wellesley and graduated 1968. One of the first classes. I commend you today. I heard your cry. Wake up, Wellesley. I thought I had back in 1968. But I guess we're still a little bit sleepy. So I do have a few words to say. I stand before you as a 50-plus year trailblazer of the Wellesley Medco program. I stand with all my Medco brothers and sisters to know that racial, generational, and class lines are still an issue in Wellesley. To know that these students have been given a carbon copy of my imprint, of my yesteryears, for opening doors to bridging the society gap between urban and suburban communities. It's very, very, very disheartening to me. Your sex, national origin, authenticity, religion, or familiar status should not be barriers to be held against any person. I say to you, my Medco brothers and sisters, not to give up, but to continue to hold up, stand up, and never, ever give up your civil rights to academic and social equality. I stand with you. Thank you.
Hi guys, I'm Julia Jordal Henry. I am biracial, but I obviously look pretty white. So I guess I'm out here because I have a sister who looks far more biracial than I do. And for almost all my life, people have always there have been people that will scream in my face like, no, you're definitely not related. Show me pictures of your parents, like you're definitely not related. No. I guess I'm just sick of having to explain myself. I'm sick of being the only person willing to educate themselves. People will say racist things in front of me because they think, oh, you're white, like it doesn't matter, right? You don't care. And then I have to explain, no, this is not okay. I have to tell them all the reasons, and it doesn't feel like people are really listening to me. It feels like they just want to tell me I'm wrong, because it feels like I'm the only person in those situations that has actually done the work to know what the statistics are, what the information is behind it. And what I want for our community is not to just put the brunt of the work on people of color. I want everyone to look. I want you to go and look online. There's tons of information everywhere, and you can find out all the things that I know and all the things that people of color know, like the back of our hand. Because it's not up to Black people to educate you. It's not up to people of color to educate you. You need to educate yourself, and that's going to make our community a better place.
So, my name is Karina Gomes. Most of you guys know me. And I've been going to Wellesley Public Schools since I was in 2nd grade. And I'm Cape Verdean, and my hair is not naturally this straight. And I'm just sick and tired of people always asking me, how is your hair like that? How do you do this? How to get long in one day if I want to get my braids done. And I just thank you all for coming and for supporting us, because this has been going on for a long time. Trust me, a while. And I'm just so happy that everyone came and everyone's supporting us. This is way more people than I thought, at least. And there was this big incident that happened to me in 8th grade where this girl, I'm not going to say any names, but she had an 8th grade party after semi, and everyone, like, it was the talk of middle school, like everyone was going. And when me and my friends showed up, we got kicked out because I guess we didn't have an invite, or because there were too many people. But shortly after we left, more people came, and the way we were thrown out, she was just like, do you want me to get my brothers? Do you have to leave my property right now? And we walked all the way back to the middle school, even got lost at 11 o'clock at night, and sat at the middle school for an hour waiting for our parents because they live all the way in Boston, and we didn't have a way to get back home as fast as we wanted to. And that was just the worst night I've ever had. And I know everyone thinks like it's semi, it's not that important to me. Well, semi was important to me. Semi was something that I was looking forward to, that I thought was supposed to be like a great night. I was gonna have the time of my life, and I didn't. Why? Because of my skin color? Anyways, I just wanted to thank you all for coming, and yeah, thank you.
Hi everyone. How old are you guys? About 4? Hi everyone. I'm Zane George. Many of you know me for certain reasons, but besides that, honestly, I've never really felt any sort of experiences in which I felt that were racist against me, besides, the occasional pat down at the airport. But and for the longest time, even though I've lived here for 3, 4 or so years, I've never really felt that it was a racist community until now. Until I heard everyone's stories here, and I heard that, well, there's a lot going around that, a lot of us don't see. And I think it's important that we open our eyes. I think it's important that everyone here is actually here. There's so many students and so many teachers and faculty and so many people in all of America that just don't see racism as an issue. They see, yeah, there's racism, but it's not happening here. And like I said, I was the same. And think it's important that we all just open our eyes, because I've always had hope for our society. I've always had hope for, well, all of humanity, and I know that this is not us. We're not born racist. We're not born with any of these issues, and that it's possible to change. It's possible for us to have a good community. Humanity isn't doomed. But we just have to work to get there. We just have to open our eyes. We just have to see the process and the paths and actually act on them.
Hold it down like to your chest. This belongs to me. Fred. No, you have to. Alright, can you hear me now? Hold it lower. Hold it lower. Maybe you can hear me now. Yeah. So I just wanted to tell you all, I'm Jalen Billy's mom. I'm not going to embarrass her. I love you. I am so proud of this day because I've come from desegregation, busing system, a whole situation that I'm not going to say and go through. But there is pain. There's power in your pain. Don't forget that. You turn confusion today into clarity. And so it's okay for this to go on because tomorrow you're going to be prepared for it. I tell you, I'm so much more confident than I ever was because of the things that I went through. And so it's okay. The confusion is clarity, and there's pain in your power, so use it, or power in your pain. So use it. But use it to do this. Have a platform. Black and white is going to exist. Unfortunately, you can't change the world, but today, you've done something. And so I can't even say how proud I am of you guys.
Hi, I think many of you might know me. I'm Siyun, and I'm that loud Asian girl in the school who's very, as I said, loud and go around with my fat mouth. I'm from Korea, and my name is very different, as you can tell, Siyun. And a lot of people, when I say from Asia, they say, are you Chinese? But I want you guys to understand that there are a lot more countries and a lot more ethnicity within China and within Asia. And within Asia, there's Middle West Asia where there are Muslims and Indians too. So I want you guys to be aware of that. And also, I want you guys to see a lot of people have different names. And sometimes they're hard to pronounce. I don't want you guys to just go around say, oh, why is your name like that? It's because it's our name. It's same. Just like someone is Maggie, and just like someone is Bianca, and someone is Alex. It's just a name. And I want you guys to understand that names means where you're from, and you guys should be very proud from where you're from, and don't try to hide it, and don't try to change it, and don't ask them about it, but to accept it. Thank you.
Alright, so I'm the last speech, and we're going to end it off this one. So, hi, I am Malik Sinclair, a Wellesley High School senior, and I'm a MECO student. Again, we came here today to be noticed not only for a short amount of time, but to make a permanent impact on the Wellesley community. All of us here have stories to tell which explain what we have gone through as students ever since we stepped foot into the Wellesley High School system. An ideal environment for a student to succeed in school has to be constructed in a way that creates the perfect environment for learning. It's not just the overall setting of the school itself that is important, but creating an environment that is judgment-free, accepting, thought-provoking, and empowering. As an ethnic student in this system, we feel that environment is not judgment-free and often provokes only negative bias in interaction between faculty and students of different ethnic and class status. We feel that this community, by remaining quiet on these issues, contributes to the degradation and exclusion of students of color in this community. We are no longer going to be quiet. We are no longer going to stand. We are going to stand for what's right. We stand as one. Not only do we want change now, but we also want change for the up and coming young ethnic scholars at Wellesley High School. As C. Joy Bell said, we can't be afraid of change. We may feel secure in the pond that we are in, but if you never venture out of it, you will never know that there is such a thing as an ocean, a sea holding on something that is good for you now. Maybe the very reason why you don't have something better. As a community, we need to come out of the pond, so together we can find our ocean. I know it's not easy to change, but with time and persistence, any amount of change is possible. We challenge students and faculty here at Wellesley High School to be self-aware and challenge their own bias. If you guys want to join the Young Ethnic Scholars, talk to one of us, and we'll be proud to help you out and join us as a club and a program. So thank you for coming.
So we've been organizing this event for the past 2 weeks, and we put in a lot of effort and a lot of time, and it was just really cool to see it all come together into fruition.
Yeah, it's just really important for us to kind of make our voices heard. And it was great to see everyone who supported us, who wasn't originally kind of part of the planning, to show the support that they had. It was just great to see.
Yeah, a lot of people, yesterday was the first time they heard about it, and they still came out and so it was really cool. It was awesome. We got a lot of awareness and everything.
Some great speeches from people who kind of weren't prepared, but just kind of went off the top of the head, and it was great though.
It's not the fact that one little thing that someone says upsets me. It's the fact that I've been coming here for 11 years and things still happen. People still touch my hair even though I say no. People touch my hair without asking. People make assumptions about where I live and how many parents I have. Someone directly asked me, "Do you have a dad?" Because most black people don't have a dad. And when you're in the face of that, it's like, who told you that? Where did you hear that from? And why did you think that was okay to say? And I can't be the person to speak for every single person of color. I can't be the person to say no, but some people don't, but that doesn't mean because we're black. It's the fact that people need to just listen, and people need to care, and people need to have a heart, because we're old enough now where it's not just ignorance, because you can educate yourself. You go to Wellesley, you can educate yourself, you have the resources. People need to care and understand that after 11 years of this happening, it's not okay and it needs to stop.
All right. Has it been very difficult for you guys to take the step that you did today?
I think yes, because everyone has felt it. Most people of color have felt it. And when we have the meetings, everyone just talks and talks and talks. And it's not the fact that we're just so rowdy. It's the fact that people are hurting. And there's so much hurt in the room because everyone has their own individual experiences. And even we were done, we had to cut off. But there were so many people who just wanted to speak. And that just shows that there's so many different people with countless experiences that just won't be heard, but they should be.
Well said. All right. Thank you, Mateo.
It was really just the buildup of these constant racial incidents, which kind of what brought us together to put this event on. And kind of had this walkout to let our voices be heard, just make an impact in our community.
Talk to me about the MECO room and what's happening with that, the changes. It sounds like there's.
So it's kind of being more regulated, so we're not allowed to go in there at certain times, where it's supposed to be kind of like an open environment where anyone's got to kind of come and go and feel like it's a safe space for us, just to be ourselves in a school where we can't really do that all the time.
And you all are losing that room?
We're not losing it completely. It's being, so when Mr. Hightower is not in the room, we're not allowed to be in there now, where previously it was like an open space.
So now you'll have limited availability to go inside of that room?
Correct. It's only when he's there. Yeah.
Talk to me about the safe haven that room has been for yourself and your peers.
For me, I didn't start going in there until my end of my sophomore year, but it's really kind of changed my experience in school. Just kind of have the ability to be around people who understand me more. Feel like I can be myself in there. I feel like it's the same for a lot of people.
Any personal experiences that you yourself have gone through, whether it be remarks or physical confrontations?
Not physical confrontations, but definitely I've heard a lot of racist jokes in middle school, especially students saying the N-word on camera, to me in my face. a lot of just insensitive things. Just constantly, since I've been in Wellesley, which was in 3rd grade when I started coming.
It's been a lot. Yeah. Thank you.